Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. It's me, your girl Sharina from Richmond Food Allergy Support Group. And by popular request, I have a special guest here today. We have Jill Donaldson from Lilly Bean, the pastry chef that we've all been talking about, the events that have been happening at Stony Point. So we're here to get the scoop, on all things top 9 allergy-friendly baking right here in our own backyard. So Jill, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Love it. Thank you so much, Trina. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. I am Jill Donaldson, founder of Lilly Bean by Pastry-based baking brand. So I grew up baking with my grandmother, Lilly. I'll first of all start by saying that those are my favorite childhood memories, being in the kitchen with her. She was an amazing cook, but like an even better baker. So that's, everybody always could not wait to taste her dessert. So to this day, I have her early model KitchenAid stand mixer, like from the 80s, maybe even 70s, on my kitchen counter. It works better than the new ones, I promise. So it's all sort of like an homage to her. Grew up baking not gluten-free, not vegan, not allergen-free, but grew up with tummy troubles always and never knew why. Moved on to become a pastry chef, and I worked in restaurants and bakeries, Washington, D.C., and again, was around all of the food allergens all of the time, and just started developing some more severe health issues myself and food intolerances. So was finally diagnosed after seeing quite a few doctors, weren't sure if it was celiac, like what's going on. And at that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to have to take a lot of these recipes that I have worked with over the years, some, all the way back from my grandmother, some that I've learned from these pastry chefs at, these James Beard award winning restaurants and bakeries where I've worked, because not eating cake was not an option, right? Like I need to eat my my sweets,
Yes.
and I need it to taste like the real thing. So that was just sort of like a little pet project that I started doing it in my free time, mainly because I wanted to eat delicious tasting food, was saying like, okay, how can I take these recipes and make them so that they taste as close to quote unquote the real thing as possible while being safe for me, and not only for me, but for anyone with a food allergy. And that's just sort of how it all started. So in 2016, I decided to take this idea and take these recipes that I had worked on for so long and turn it into a business. Because of the fact that I loved making these memories growing up with my grandmother, I wanted to be able to provide a way for other people to do that in their home. Sometimes people are intimidated by baking, like people might be great in the kitchen, but they say like, oh, when it comes to baking, like, no, I can't do it. It never turns out well. But I think that really anyone can do it. It just takes like a few little techniques, a few little tricks, a little patience, sometimes trial and error, but sometimes it's like, what's the worst that can happen? Like you've got a cookie that's a little too crunchy, like it's okay, like it's all right. Affordable and enjoyable for people to bake memories in their home kitchen. So I developed a line of baking mixes that are top 9 allergen free, made in an allergen free facility. So no risk of cross contamination or anything like that. We started with just a few flavors of cupcake mixes and frosting mixes, me blending everything by hand myself and selling them at farmers markets here in Richmond back in like 2017. And since then have grown to have an amazing staff, the first of which was my mom, Grandma Lily's daughter, who moved here to Richmond from South Florida to help me when I was like, I don't think I can do this by myself anymore.
Yeah.
So she came to help. And we slowly have grown an amazing team. And we now sell our mixes in all 50 states. We export to the Middle East, Canada, and Europe, and still do everything right here in Richmond with a very small team, like mostly by hand, and have grown the offerings of the products that we make, from cupcakes and frostings to pancakes, scones, waffles, pizza crust, all sorts of different types of products. And we just have so much fun doing it. We are now in a new production facility in Stony Point Fashion Park. And we're just so happy to be here because we've got a beautiful view, big picture windows. We're in the former Sur La Table space. So we were able to take advantage of that beautiful space by creating a little retail area up front. We've painted sprinkles all over the walls, so it's like a fun, inviting atmosphere. And we're the most excited to be able to interact with our customers in a new way, because there is a teaching kitchen in this space. As if anyone's been to a Sur La Table store before, you know they always have cooking classes and a teaching kitchen. So we have that teaching kitchen, and we utilize it to do allergen-free baking courses for all ages. So that is the thing we're most excited about now.
And we love that. And thank you for sharing your tremendous background story. This isn't a story just about food allergies, food intolerance. This is a story about making memories, which is something that
Totally.
is often missed when talking about the impact of living with or caring for someone with food allergies, is those memories of being in the kitchen baking. Food should be enjoyable. And we're so appreciative of entrepreneurs like yourselves who allow the food allergy community to be a part of that tradition of baking and cooking and being in the kitchen, and the sights and the smells and the conversations with that others enjoy as well. So going back to a number of gems that you dropped when you were giving us your background story, for those who may not know, what are the top 9 food allergens that your products are free from?
For people may know that for a while it was top 8 here in the US. Just recently, a 9th food allergen, which is sesame, was added to the list. And I will take a second just to mention, since we do export our products as well, different countries have different like food allergen requirements on their labeling. And I'm so glad that the US is we're coming along. We're getting a little bit better at, identifying this huge segment of the population who has a food allergy or intolerance. But a lot of other places are even a little bit more ahead of us. Like Canada has like a top, and other countries have a top 13, top 14. So they include things that we don't, such as like mustard and sulfites and other things like that, which our products also are free from, just because we do export to other countries as well. So we try to be as inclusive as possible. So the obvious ones are going to be fish and shellfish. We already mentioned sesame, but then there's also tree nut and peanut. There's soy, there's dairy, there's wheat, and then there's always, I always get to 8, and then I can never.
It's okay. I do the same. So we've got the peanuts, tree nuts, pinfish, shellfish, soy, wheat, milk, egg, sesame.
Egg, that's the one I forgot. Egg. And that's the one I get the most questions about. I get the most questions about egg because people are like, okay, it's a baking mix. What do I have to replace the egg with? What do I got to do? What do I got to finagle here? And there are a lot of great like egg replacer products out there. There are dry egg replacers that sometimes have like some sort of leavening agent, maybe flaxseed. There are others like you may have seen in the refrigerator section that are like, that looks kind of like a liquid egg. So these things do exist and they can be great. But what's special about our baking mixes is we have vegan preparation instructions listed right there on the back of the mix, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do an egg replacer. There's nothing you have to do. They will rise and have a beautiful texture and hold together just fine without the egg. So as a pastry chef, especially as a trained pastry chef, I always kind of had this notion in my head where like, well, you have to, without egg, you have to have something to, no, you don't. It's okay. These are formulated with the proper amount of leavening agents. Once we get the correct amounts of moisture in there, which that's all you're adding on your end, right? They're dry, shelf stable baking mixes. You're adding the liquid component. With our mixes, it usually consists of a milk, and we've tried every milk on the market. They work with flax milk, rice milk, hemp milk, oat milk, almond, whatever works for you. The only one I say is a little iffy is like the canned coconut milk. Like, like that thicker coconut milk is not like, it's a different kind of consistency or texture. But any other sort of like milk, vegan milk on the market works. And if you're someone who can do dairy, you can do dairy milk too. That's fine. I usually do like a rice milk just because I feel like most people can tolerate that. And we have rice in our baking mixes anyway. So if they can't do rice, they can't do our baking mixes anyway. So when I'm preparing like samples or something for people to enjoy or a ready to eat product, I normally will do rice milk. And then the only other ingredient you normally have to add to any of our mixes is some sort of fat. So that could be an oil, it could be a shortening, it could be a vegan butter. Again, we give you a lot of options on the instructions, and we've tried it out with all sorts of different options on the market. So we try to make this as customizable as we can.
We love customizable. It's also just very inclusive,
Yes,
not just of
yes.
food allergies, other dietary considerations like religious or other
Yes.
sort of health conditions that may be diet sensitive. So we love that inclusiveness that you really strive to promote. And we see that you center in all the things that you do. And speaking of being inclusive, while some of us like to roll up the sleeves at home, sometimes we just want to come in and just get it off the shelf like everyone else. So if I'm someone who
Yeah.
needs to pick up something quick and I'm local, I'm here in Richmond, Virginia, is that possible for me with Lilly Bean products?
So as of before this week, I would have had to say no. Unfortunately, we just do the mix. But as of this Monday, we did an official launch at Good Foods Grocery, sort of like a pilot program. But for the first time, we are baking ready to eat products. We're launching with some mini cupcakes of various flavors, some cookie dough bites, and we'll put more products as we go. We'll do some sugar cookies, we'll do some birthday cakes. That's what I'm most excited about, like an actual like layer cake that you can just, oh gosh, I need a cake for an event, or I need a something last minute or dessert to bring for an occasion. You can just stop by Good Food Grocery in the deli section, grab some cupcakes or soon a cake, and be on your way. It's school safe, top 9 allergen free, all of the things that we have always stood for. We will continue to do so. So we're so excited about that announcement. So these are all kind of, in the history of my business, exciting new things. The ready to eat and the classes here at Stony Point are two things that we're so excited to be able to offer, and just to be able to interact a little bit more with our customers.
We love that. So before we go, and everyone, by the way, there's going to be links to the website, to the store, Good Foods, anywhere that you can find these wonderful Lilly Bean products. So don't fret if you need to find a way to get there. Before we go, Jill, could you give us, both for those living with food allergies, caring for folks with food allergies, or even the general public, what are 3 things that you would like folks to know about food allergy friendly baking?
So, in terms of food allergy friendly baking, I will tell you that if you have tried before and in your mind failed, like, oh, I tried to make something, it didn't turn out. Consider a couple of things and consider trying again. Consider the weather. Consider that sometimes the humidity level in the environment, if it's a super rainy day or a super dry day, let that sort of inform what you're doing, and trust yourself. If you're working with a batter, if, let's say it's something that you found a recipe online, and you're doing it by scratch, or maybe it's with a baking mix. If it doesn't look right to you, no, I'm not telling you to change the recipe, but it could be as simple as, hey, it's really dry out today. I may need to add a little bit more liquid to get this to a consistency that looks right and that makes sense. The more you do this, the good news is, the more intuitive it'll be. And you'll be like, okay, like that's, I can kind of tell what the issue is. But a lot of times the weather plays such a bigger part than we realize.
Mm.
In, the moisture level in the air is going to inform like what we're doing, and the just the weather in general and the temperature. So that's one thing. Try again and think about the weather around you. A second tip I'll say, and this isn't directly to do with baking, but this is just to do with as we go through life, avoiding allergens and with food intolerances or food allergies. Know that I know it can feel isolating, but 1 in 4 people, this is the new figures that are coming out, 1 in 4 are avoiding one of the top 9 allergies at the grocery store for some reason. So you're not alone. So don't feel isolated, especially like let's say you're someone whose child has been newly diagnosed and you feel overwhelmed. You're not alone. Please reach out. Like, I'm happy to talk to you. I'm sure Sharina's happy. I'm sure there's many resources out there for you. It's just something new maybe, so you just aren't used to it yet and you don't know where to go and where to turn. But we're all sort of, I think, a very welcoming community because we know how difficult it can be and how isolating. So don't be afraid to reach out. You're not alone. 1 in 4 is trying to do this here in the States. And then the third thing I'll say, again, it's not directly to do with baking, but more about advocating for yourself. The ADA covers, food allergies. So it is your right to know, to ask. Don't feel like, oh, I'm being annoying. I'm asking this restaurant, or I'm talking to, this food company, or I'm just trying to figure out if it's safe or not. That is your right. So please, don't be afraid to be bold and to advocate. Call up the restaurant ahead of time. Email the food company. Do all of those things. It is your right to do so. And if you feel like you get a wishy-washy answer, or if they don't feel like they know what to say, like maybe that's not, you know, a business or a company that has all their ducks in a row, and maybe it's not a good idea, you know what I mean, to go with them. And maybe they just need a little bit more training and education. But the good news is, I think that is coming down the pipeline. I think more and more food businesses, both food manufacturing businesses like myself, and restaurants and caterers, like everybody is kind of getting the picture that like this is important, this isn't going anywhere. Everyone has an equal right to feel safe and eat delicious food, not just like a little plate of vegetables along the side as an afterthought.
Yes.
So advocate for yourself.
Awesome. Jill, you are amazing. We appreciate all of your inspiration today as an entrepreneur, as a woman in business, as a food allergy advocate. And we can't wait to take your classes, pick up your mixes,
Yeah.
and just support this great company. So everyone check out the links. Make sure that you check out Lilly Bean online, go see them in person. Thank you from Richmond Food Allergy. Keep going this May, Food Allergy Awareness Month. Stay safe and stay included. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.